Hi, this is Manda O'Brien, the Cosmic Mystics Club, and this is Pluto Transformation Part 2. In Part 1, I gave a little bit of the historical view of the transits of Pluto, beginning with Pluto in Cancer in the 1930s, being opposite where Pluto is currently positioned on the cusp of Sagittarius and Capricorn, getting ready to fully enter into his transit of Capricorn. No one alive today has ever experienced Pluto in the constellation of Capricorn because it takes Pluto 250 years to do one full cycle of the zodiac. And so it's a very interesting time to be present for this transit and to undergo the experiences and the transformation that Pluto can bring into our lives. Currently, Pluto is at 0 degrees of Capricorn, right on the cusp. So this is a time of transition. And in evolutionary astrology, Pluto represents the growth of our soul and also the growth of society in general. So whenever a planet is on the cusp, whenever it's exiting one sign and transiting into another sign, it's a time of transition because both energies are still present. We're still connected to the transit through Sagittarius, which was from 2007 until 2024. And so everything that went on in our lives, internally and externally, all the truths that would have been revealed to us during this transit, because Sagittarius very much has to do with discovering our own truth and seeing the beliefs and the ideas that we have taken on as our own, and recognizing through our own experience what's true for us and what is not true, no matter how society may perceive it. So as Pluto's on this very transitional position, it's a time of integration and a powerful time for us to look back and to reflect in retrospective awareness and to see in the last 15 or so years, but especially in the last few years, what new truths, new realizations, new expansion of our experience of reality has come in, and how that has shifted our perception and our experience of being here and our experience of ourselves and of the world. Because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn very much has to do with tradition, ideologies, morality, the structure of government, the structure of organizations. And, that plays a big part in our experience of being here. And we have to navigate through that. There's so many different belief systems out there, and religious belief systems, moral belief systems, and Saturn also has a lot to do with our idea of social duty and how we practically contribute to the world. So as Pluto is leaving Sagittarius and entering into the vibration of Capricorn, the truths that we have discovered and realized in the last number of years will start to break down old, outdated structures within us, within our psychology. And that's what Pluto does. Pluto brings light to the deepest part of the unconscious. And what's hidden there is revealed. It's illuminated so that we can see what we're carrying, so we can understand our own perception of reality and our own behavior and transform. And it happens, the transformation happens on its own through the awareness that Pluto brings to us. And sometimes it can be very challenging to see things in ourselves that we're carrying, that we've been avoiding. And because Pluto rules Scorpio, anything that it reveals has a very deep feeling level aspect to it. It's not trivial. These are deep, old patterns that we may have had for lifetimes, that in this transit through Capricorn, we're going to have a chance to allow whatever is dead, whatever is no longer serving us, whatever has been dissolved through the new truths that we have discovered. It's going to allow that to continue dissolving. And that's the transitionary period, when you're in between, where the old structure, the old patterns are no longer serving, but there isn't anything new yet that has shown up. And so you're in between worlds. And in a sense, you're in the womb, in the spiritual womb, and heading towards rebirth on a soul level, not on a physical level, but on a soul level, heading towards a cycle of rebirth. And during that process, you're in transition when Pluto's on the cusp. And this can be a confusing time because the past is you can no longer relate to the past. It no longer feels like who you are, but yet you don't know what new energy is coming in. You may have a sense of it, but it's not fully clear. It's not here yet. And, you know, if there's anything that defines life, to me, being alive, actually being alive, it's that being alive is the experience or the adventure into the unknown, because nobody knows what's going to happen next, from one second to the next. And this is the reality that we exist in. We exist in this unknownness. Change is the only constant in life on the external level. Everything is in constant change. And on the internal level, to me, it's not so much about change. It's more about finding what has always been there and what will always be there within us, the truth that we know, that our soul knows, that never changes, and that's just waiting for us to turn and face it. And that's what Pluto does. It helps us to find what is really real for us. And transiting into Capricorn, it's breaking down belief systems, structures of living in the world according to society, according to others, basically, and finding your own grounding, finding what's true for you and living from there. And this starts to create a new structure. Because human beings are psychological creatures. We have a psychology, and this psychology is capable of influencing how we perceive reality and also how we experience reality and how we respond to it. So it's very important that we have awareness of what's in this psychology that we are carrying, because otherwise it operates in the unconscious, and we'll notice patterns of behavior, patterns in our life that are not working for us, but that keep repeating. And what it's waiting for is for us to become aware of these patterns, and that's where Pluto comes in. That's where he helps us to see beyond the unconscious, to go deeper into it, and to recognize what we're carrying that is not serving us, that's keeping us stuck in patterns and cycles that are not helping us to grow and expand and evolve. And to me, the word evolution, it's a tricky word, but in some ways it's a paradox, because from my understanding, the universe designed each one of us to be what we are, the unique manifestation, the unique wave in the ocean. And that's what we're here to experience and explore, the mystery of that, of our own design. And that's inherently present. It can't be destroyed, it can't be changed. But we have, through our lifetimes of being in the world and being in society, we have created our own psychological belief systems that are on top of that essential nature that we came in with. And those belief systems get in the way of us experiencing who we really are. And so that, to me, is the process of evolution, becoming conscious. Becoming conscious of what we're carrying, of these layers, of peeling the cosmic onion, these layers that are not who we are, that we've taken on unconsciously, because most of these layers are built from a young age when we have no awareness of who we are. And we may have it on a very deep level, but we don't have it in relation to society, in relation to the family. And so we can take on these belief systems that are operating underneath, and we're not aware of them, but we can feel it. We can feel that they're there. And they cause us to suffer because we're, in a way, not accepting, not living in reality as it is. We're looking through this layer, through this lens of psychology that's not reflecting reality back to us. So the process of Pluto, the process of evolution, to me, is being willing to see what we're carrying, what's not working, what's dead, and being willing to undergo the process of letting that go, allowing that to dissolve. And it can be very frightening because we can get very used to these psychological ideas. We can be very sure of them. Whereas when we start to tune into who we are, there's a lot of unknownness that we face. And it can be uncomfortable to be in the unknown, which is why we all avoid it in some way or another. And we're taught to avoid it. We're taught to look for security, to look for comfort, to look for certainty, to draw conclusions. But all of that is superficial. It's not really addressing the truth of who we are and who we were designed to be, and the potential that we carry within us that wants to be actualized in this lifetime. So right now, Saturn is in Pisces, and that gives us the opportunity to cultivate spiritual discipline. And what I mean by that is the willingness to be aware of what we're carrying in relation to our spiritual experience. What is our own experience and what we have taken on from others. And to really gain more access to our own soul and what we were designed to be. So it's a very supportive influence while Saturn is in Pisces, with this transit of Pluto going into Capricorn. And the polarity of Capricorn is Cancer. So the way to navigate the transitions that we're in at the moment and the process of deconstruction of these psychological systems that are man-made, that are all in our minds, is through loving and nurturing ourselves and having an attitude of honoring and protecting who we are, who we know ourselves to be, in the face of dealing with the belief systems that we've taken on unconsciously. So it's a very powerful process, and this transitionary phase where Pluto is still integrating, still supporting us in integrating the truths that we have discovered in the last number of years, will bring us into a sense of more stability, more real stability, as we get more in contact with our own truths, our own true experience, and honor that. That's creating stability, true stability, that can't be taken away, that's fundamental to who we are, that was given to us by the universe in the dignity of the uniqueness of each of us and our design and our purpose and the divine plan that we are part of. So during this transitionary phase, which will go on for the next few months, as Pluto is just slowly starting to move into Capricorn, it's good to be very patient and loving with yourself. That's Cancer. Very nurturing. And also to really tune into your sensitivity, to trust your feelings, and to honor the unknown. To be willing to feel what it feels like to be in the unknown without trying to change it or fill it up or avoid it, but just to experience it, knowing that everything is in a state of constant change, and this transitionary phase isn't going to last forever, but it's an essential part of the process of a new order coming into existence within us, and then that translating outward into our physical world and how our lives are set up. And you might notice a lot of changes happening over the next year, but specifically over the next 6 months, as you start to see the need for change, to see that there's certain things that have died inside you, certain ideas, certain patterns, certain beliefs, and in their place, new energy has come in, new momentum, and to have the patience. Cancer is a very patient sign. It's a sign of the mother. And to honor your feminine nature, your receptive nature, your intuition, your sensitivity in this process. Because Pluto is deconstructing the patriarchal system that we've been living in for thousands of years. And we're going to see this in the world, the deconstruction of the patriarchy. And it's important because it's out of balance. Power, which Pluto also rules, and money, is being used in ways that doesn't honor life, doesn't honor nature, doesn't honor human beings. It's being used for purely ego purposes and by people who really don't care about anyone except themselves and what they have and what they own. And they're coming from a very immature place in themselves because of that. Because true power is the power to be in harmony with life, to live in harmony with nature and with each other. And when we move away from that, to the degree that society has moved away from that at this point, where money and power are not serving love and humanity and nature and animals and taking care of the planet, where they're just serving the greed of a small percentage of individuals who will never be satisfied, who will never have enough power, who will never have enough money. It's important that this transit is coming in because it's going to illuminate that imbalance in the world. And it's going to do it through governments, through the truth that corporate power has taken over the world, that individuals don't have any value to these systems. They don't have a heart. They don't have a soul. And that's where Cancer comes in. And I feel that the matriarchal energy is going to start coming in much more in this transit, where women will be called to play a more active role in our world, in society, and to contribute their perspective and their vision of the world to the bigger picture. And Pluto's going to take the power away from the patriarchy because it hasn't worked. It's brought us to where we are, and we have to trust that the universe has a divine plan, and things are exactly the way they're supposed to be. But they're also in a constant state of transformation. And this transformation that we are all in together right now with Pluto entering Capricorn is going to bring much more focus to the power structures that are out of balance with nature and out of balance with honoring human life and all the creatures that live on the planet with us and all life. And that they're just serving death, basically. They're serving destruction, all the wars, all the conflict, all the division that's being created by governments and people in power, instead of using that power to bring people together and to honor life and to take care of people. So it's going to be a very powerful 17 years, and we're going to see a lot of changes in the world. And part of change is that first we have to see what's not working come to an end. And that can be unsettling. And human beings inherently don't like change, but it's necessary for what's dead and what's not working to dissolve so that something new can come in. And that's where we're at right now. We're in the dissolving revelation phase of Pluto. And it's interesting because right now, as I'm recording this comet that has appeared in our skies, that's a very unusual comet that's passing by our local planets. It's the closest to Earth right now that it's been. And it'll continue its journey past us. But while it's here, it is activating our connection to the cosmos, our cosmic connection. And in the Hopi tradition, which I was very fortunate to be part of many years ago, they spoke of the return of the blue kachina and that it symbolized a time of purification where the earth was brought back into balance. And I feel like that's the time we're entering into here. Not only with this blue comet showing up in the skies as a messenger that's been predicted by many native peoples, but also by Pluto entering into Capricorn, which rules the patriarchal structure of the world that we currently live in. So the key here to me is to tune into the heart. The heart has not been considered enough in the way the world has been set up. It's not a loving society that we live in. Religions are telling us that we're born in sin. We've got messages coming to us from all different directions that are not life-affirming, that divide us against each other, that divide us against ourselves. And this transit is going to transform this situation. And anyone who's willing to let go of what's not working and embrace a new way of being is going to see incredible transformations in their own experience of who they are and also in their experience in the world. So thanks so much for joining me. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them down below. And yeah, just treat yourself with the respect and the love that you deserve. Don't wait for anyone else to give it to you. Give it to yourself. And accept the fact that sometimes we're in the unknown. In fact, most of the time, we're in the unknown. But if we can relax and see it as an adventure and know that life has a divine plan and that we are an essential part of it, then we can navigate this transit, and it can be extremely beneficial to us and to everyone we love. So that's it for now. Lots of love to whoever's listening to this, wherever you are right now.